I never should have agreed to this. That's the thought that keeps cycling through my mind as I stand at the threshold of the abandoned Blackwell Sanatorium, a place with a history so dark that even historians speak of it in hushed tones. The building looms against the twilight sky, its broken windows like hollow eyes watching my every move. They said it was just a challenge, a publicity stunt, 24 hours alone in a haunted building with some cameras. But I knew better the moment I stepped through those doors. The air inside doesn't move. It hangs heavy, thick with the scent of decay and something else, something acrid and sulfurous that burns the back of my throat. My equipment feels unusually heavy as I set up in what was once the main reception area. The battery indicators on my cameras are already flickering, though I just charged them. 3 hours in and the whispers start. Not the settling of an old building or the wind through broken windows. Actual whispers, unintelligible at first, then slowly forming words that I don't want to understand. They come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "We've been waiting for you." I tell myself it's my imagination, that fear is playing tricks on my mind. But then I review the footage and hear it clearly through the static. Voices that shouldn't exist speaking directly to the camera. By midnight, the shadows no longer behave as they should. They stretch against the walls, elongating into impossible shapes, recoiling when I shine my light directly at them. One particular shadow follows me from room to room. I've started calling it the Watcher. It never comes close enough to touch, but it's always there, just at the edge of my vision. In the old surgical theater, I experience my first direct encounter. The temperature plummets so suddenly that my breath clouds before me. My camera's screen distorts, pixelating into a grotesque face that remains for just a second before shorting out completely. Then I see it, a figure standing in the corner. Not quite human in proportion, its limbs too long, joints bent at unnatural angles. It doesn't move like any living thing should, more like a marionette controlled by unseen strings. When it finally turns toward me, its face is wrong. Features twisted and rearranged, eyes where they shouldn't be. I run. My footsteps echo through empty corridors as doors slam shut around me. I'm being herded deeper into the building, away from exits, away from safety. In what was once the children's ward, tiny handprints appear on the walls, materializing before my eyes. They slide along the peeling wallpaper, following my movements. The air fills with the sound of children's laughter, but it's distorted, slowed down, almost mocking. I find myself trapped in the basement morgue around 3 a.m., the witching hour. The steel drawers where bodies were once kept begin to rattle, one by one sliding open with metallic shrieks. Nothing visible emerges, but I feel them, presences moving around me, circling like predators. One brushes against me, a cold so intense it burns through my clothing. My mind fills with visions that aren't my own, glimpses of rituals performed in this very room. Patients strapped to tables, doctors with blank eyes making incisions while chanting in languages long dead. By dawn, I'm huddled in a corner, my cameras abandoned, my rational mind struggling to process what I've witnessed. Something sits across from me, not fully materialized, but present enough that I can make out a vaguely humanoid shape composed of swirling darkness. It speaks not with a voice, but directly into my mind. "You invited us in," it says. "Your fear, your curiosity, they were the invitation, and now we follow you home." The realization hits me with devastating clarity. The challenge doesn't end when I leave this place. What I've awakened, what I've given attention to, they're now attached to me. As morning light filters through broken windows, I gather my courage and what remains of my equipment. The building seems almost normal in daylight, as if the horrors were just night terrors. But I know better now. I've survived the 24 hours, but at what cost? As I step outside, I catch my reflection in a puddle of rainwater. For just a moment, my face isn't my own. Something else stares back at me, something that wears my features like an ill-fitting mask. The true horror isn't what I experienced inside those walls. It's the understanding that I've opened a door that cannot be closed, that the boundary between our world and theirs has been weakened. I completed the challenge, but the game has only just begun.